Where does these videos at?
It goes to the video guy on Facebook, and it goes to my website too.
What's your website?
Just if you Google the video guy, and you'll see his website.
We got to make this speech.
To talk to. You know where I'm at with all that.
Scroll on down, and just hit refresh. It's actually my YouTube. Do you have a YouTube app?
And I'll post this. I like to post where it is,
Okay.
so that people on my side can find it.
Okay.
So, thank you.
I'm trying to get one at least one.
It's a good thing for that meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commission meeting is now open, pursuant to adjourn with the Honorable Mayor Richard Venable presiding.
Thanks, Sheriff. Welcome you all here tonight. Good crowd, bad weather. Good to see you here. Commissioner, would you lead us in the invocation?
Please bow with me for prayer. Heavenly Father, how grateful we are for your love, your mercy, and your kindness toward your creation. And we are thankful for the abundant health that you've provided for us. We thank you for the abundant life that we have because of your promise. As we come together here tonight, we pray that your blessings would be upon this gathering. All that we would say and do would be for the betterment of mankind, for the betterment of our county, and most of all, that there might be peace amongst all people. Watch over us, care for us, keep us safe as we travel. Bless this time. In your Son's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stanley, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Here's that all of our commissioners are in the chamber, so Madam Clerk, would you take the roll, and commissioners, would you check in with the board, please? Has everyone recorded their presence? Mr. Lott? take the roll.
24 present.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the commission minutes from the previous month. They've been electronically mailed to you or in the slow mail. We have a motion for adoption, second by Commissioner Crawford. Any discussion, corrections, additions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The minutes are adopted as published. The next item is our special guest, and you're all special. It'd be impossible for me to pick you out individually, but all those elected officials from our partners in the cities and are welcome tonight, and we appreciate you here. All boards and commissions we have members. We appreciate your service, and we appreciate your being here at our monthly meeting. Next, appointments and confirmations. We have a vacancy in the Bristol Bluff City Utility District. I'll read the appointment. Order appointing Utility District Commissioner, whereas the Bristol Bluff City Utility District Board of Commissioners does hereby certify to the Sullivan County Mayor pursuant to TCA 7-A2-307 that a vacancy has occurred in said utility board by virtue of the expiration of a term. And whereas Bristol Bluff City Utility District Board of Commissioners further certifies that the nominee, Virginia Hodges, is qualified to fill said vacancy. Now therefore be it ordered, judged, and decreed by Sullivan County Mayor Richard Venable, pursuant to the code, that nominee Virginia Hodges be appointed to the Bristol Bluff City Utility District Board, term to expire November 2022. And that is read into the record. Next up, the appointment of committees and board members. On your agenda, you will see that we've had 3 requests from Commissioner Darlene Calton, Michael Cole, and we will take a request for the Integrated Emergency Preparedness Council at some point in the future. If you have an interest in that, we have a vacancy there. So I would entertain a motion to have these committee assignments as read. Commissioner Crawford, second. Commissioner Morrell. Any discussion? Any objection? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Thank you, Commissioners, for letting us know on what committees you'd like to serve. We know you'll do a great job for us. Next up is the order appointing a constable to fill a remainder of a term. Whereas a vacancy has occurred in the office of constable in the 4th District due to the resignation of Mr. Kelly Crosswhite, and whereas in accordance with TCA 8-10-118, the county legislative body has the authority to fill the unexpired term until the next general election. And whereas the nominees have met requirements to fulfill the position of TCA code. And let me say that a nominee must be nominated by a member of the county commission. It does not require a second. If we only have one nominee, we will vote. If we have multiple nominees, we will split it up and explain how we're going to take the vote. So the floor is open for nominations for constable from District 4. Commissioner Crosswhite.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Joyce Crosswhite, Commissioner. Like I said, in District 4, I want to nominate Michael Harmon. Michael's sitting here on the front seat. You all received his file. He's, excuse me, more than qualified for the position. If anyone has any questions, I know he'd be glad to answer them. I apologize, I'm losing my voice, but I do want to nominate him. And I appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Ms. Crosswhite. Ms. Crosswhite has entered into the nomination in the name of Michael Harmon. Mr. Harmon has qualified and signed the necessary affidavits, so is eligible to serve as constable in the 4th District. Do we have other nominations? Do you have any other nominations? Nominations are closed. Commissioner Vance?
I knew that we had a resume for Mr. Cross, but could he even speak to that, or?
No, your rule is, as commission, and the law is that they must be nominated by a member of the commission before they can speak. And if we have multiple nominations, obviously we would want to allow those nominees to speak. So, any further questions before I close the nominations? Seeing none, nominations are closed. So we will take a vote. You have this on the board now. We do have it on the board. Nomination of Mr. Harmon, Constable in the 4th District. Let me check with our county attorney, make sure we've covered all the bases before you vote. Covered well. Okay, we're good. Cast your vote. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change their vote? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, take the vote.
23 yes, 1 abstain.
Thank you. Mr. Harmon is appointed by Sullivan County Commissioner. Mr. Harmon, if you'll come by my office, we will complete everything necessary to have you installed. Thank you, sir. Next up on our agenda is public comment. We're always welcome the public to share their opinions with us. And Mr. Cross, I would appreciate you bringing forward. Mr. Morell, I recognize you when Mr. Cross goes back and removes our sign-up sign. Andrew, thank you. Ready to recognize?
I hit that.
Oh, good. Very good. We'll move right on along then. Again, the commission rules generally allow 3 minutes, as is shown on the board. Those of you who have been here before know that we don't enforce that very strictly. And, a total of 30 minutes for public comment, but we don't enforce that very strictly either. If you want me to enforce it strictly, you wave at me and say, hey, enforce the rules. Otherwise, we'll hear our friends. First up, Ms. Regina Eisenberg. Ms. Eisenberg, if you will, when you come forward to speak, if you will, when you get to the podium, if you'll give us your name and address for the record for our county clerk.
Yeah, I'm Regina Eisenberg. I live on 613 Foothills Road in Colonial Heights. But I'm on a different matter here today, not my address.
Okay, you're fine. That's good.
Okay. I'm here. We run the only no-kill shelter on Highway 75. And we're not supported by the county or by the city one bit. All those animals, we have over 70 cats, over 60 dogs. They're not mine either. They're the community. And want to share something. Those animals are not a nuisance to our community. They bring a lot of revenue. We wouldn't have PetSmart. We wouldn't have all the vets here. And the Walmart food department is one of the better going departments. So there's a lot of taxes coming in this area. And we run a shelter with no support whatsoever. And people leaving their cats and dogs with us. And so I want to welcome the new commissioners, the new faces. Maybe they have different hearing than the last ones did. But anyhow, we are asking to give us a stipend. We're not asking the same amount as the Sullivan County shelter get, but we're asking for a stipend because we have to vet care them. There's a lot of law behind rabies shots and people leaving cats and dogs that is sick. We have outbreaks of parvo the last couple of weeks. And so we ask that the commission considers a stipend for our shelter. It's on 2061 Highway 75. And I'm not asking to build a shelter, build it. I got a mortgage, $2,800 a month. I'm not asking to pay that. But we asking to get our vet paid for and our medicine ordered. So we're hoping that the commissioners see that we're an asset to the county for the animals here. And I moved here 50 years ago. I was told this is the Bible Belt, okay? Okay, those animals are God's creatures, folks. And we don't kill anything, you know. The county does, but we don't. And so we're hoping that you consider give us a stipend to the shelter. We're all volunteers. There is Janie and Paul, these 70, 75, I be 77, and we work 7 days a week. The county shelter is open 5 days a week. So we're open more hours than the city or the county is open. And why? You know, people bring them to us, of course we're open. You know, you cannot take them any place where they closed. So I hope you all consider those poor animals. They didn't ask to be at our shelter, at any shelter. They are community animals, you know, and we owe our community a good school, which we do have, for the senior citizen center, and the animals deserve to be well taken care of instead euthanized and going to the landfill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eisenberg. We appreciate the work you do for our county. And if I may, if you'll please contact my office around...
The check is in the mail. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I say the check is in the mail.
No, ma'am, it's not.
No, I didn't think so.
We have a provision for not-for-profits that we support, and I was going to offer you my help if you'll contact me if that's sufficient to your needs. I do have a question though. When you have a sick animal, what do you do with it?
We take it to the vet and they charge money, sadly to say.
And if it's not recoverable?
Not really. We had parvo recently. Somebody brought some animal there. I don't know where it came from with parvo. The emergency clinic charged $2,500, you know, to take care of the parvo. We go to Indian Ridge. All of our animals are neutered and spayed. We don't add anything to any county, neither to the city either. You know, we fix them. And I suggest that you guys get in contact with UT in the spring to do a lot of spaying and neuter for low cost, you know, because then you wouldn't have to kill all them animals.
We appreciate that, and we've been doing that for over a year. Thank you.
But it's not working. Thank you.
Well, since you're away from the microphone, I'll offer you my help if you'd like to come before the commission and ask for funding. Next up, we have Kim Boland.
Good evening, commissioners. I'm Kim Boland.
Tim, could you move? Mr. Flanagan, you're right in front of the people who are speaking to me, and if you could just move that just a little off center, Tim.
Okay.
I can see him. That's good.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak before the new commission. We are very happy to have you in our county. My name is Kim Boland, and I live at 213 Alders Place in Bristol. I am the president of Feline Rescue and No Kill, and we have been in operation since 2015. We are a foster home network, and we care for, on a daily basis, as Ms. Eisenberg says, have a great respect for 7 days a week. We're 7 days a week, 24/7. I work a full-time job, and we take care of over 450 cats and kittens in this county. So tonight, why I'm here is this. Everybody's seen this in the Times News. To me, as a rescuer and a person and a long time, I've raised here in Sullivan County, this is disgusting. Over 50, 60 cats and kittens were euthanized in our local shelter recently for a panleukopenia outbreak. I've been doing this over 20 years, as well as my colleagues, Mary Randolph, June Chart, and Mary Louise Stead. There is absolutely not one reason why you would euthanize an entire population for panleukopenia. Do you think we don't get it in our rescue? We most certainly do. So I am here to ask you and these commissioners why we can't have honesty and transparency and know what's going on in our county, because we deserve it. We work hard to save these animals, and when I see stuff like this, it is heartbreaking. I spent over $30,000 out of my own pocket last year to take care of cats and kittens, along with these ladies as well. We are generated, we are operated by donation only and fundraising. All of our cats and kittens are spayed and neutered, vaccinated, tested, and ready to go, and we adopt them for a mere fee of $75. So this is disgusting. Why did it happen in our county? We need a community shelter that is working and partnering with us as rescue groups to save animals and not to terminate them. Do you have any questions? I have some information that I can provide to the commission about spay-neuter. We need a spay-neuter program in this county. We need a trap-neuter return program in this county. We need a county shelter that has a qualified manager. We need someone who is operationally excellent, who can make decisions for the county's animals. They deserve it, sir. Commissioners, our animals are important. They are given to us. They are God's creation. I have a passion for that, and I work in dialysis. I work 50, 60 hours a week taking care of patients, but when I go home in the evening, I work and take care of 90 cats and kittens that I take care of. These ladies have the same. So we need your help. We need your money. We don't come here asking for money. We work hard for our money, but we need these programs because we won't have this population problem in our county for cats and kittens if we can make people accountable. Everybody needs to be accountable. If you can't afford to spay and neuter, we need programs to help our people. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. We hear you.
Okay? Can I get a commitment from somebody who's going to help us?
We have a procedure for that, and any commissioner that wants to address that may.
I would like to hear that if I could.
Your time.
We do have some information about TNR, about rescue, and you may actually reach out to me. I'd be happy to provide this information via the mayor's office.
Be happy to do that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Kelly Ball. Welcome, Ms. Ball.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Kelly Ball. I live at 343 Mockingbird Lane in Kingsport, Rock Springs, Columbia Heights area. And I want to thank you guys for letting me speak here tonight. I've lived in Sullivan County my entire life. I just want to come before you to let you know I'm not some radical animal rights activist, but a concerned citizen. You know, I come before you because of the news of the mass euthanasia of the entire cat population at the shelter. I have grown up my entire life with animals. I was a zookeeper at the Knoxville Zoo, a vet tech, and now I'm a human nurse. I like the animal nursing better. They're easier to work with. But I truly believe that we have a responsibility to provide a safe, ethical, humane place for our homeless animals. We have to be their voice. I was not only outraged to hear about this news, but shocked and saddened, and to learn that it's not an isolated incident, but just happened in September and many times in the past. This could easily have been prevented with proper sanitation protocols, a mandatory quarantine for any animal upon arrival, which is protocol for any shelter, separation of the cats into smaller areas, pod units. I've spoken with several of you this week, including the mayor, and he has assured me that this will never happen again on his watch. This story has reached far beyond our county throughout the state of Tennessee. It's my opinion that this is an embarrassment and not what Sullivan County wants to be known for. Here are some of the most urgent matters that need to be addressed. The need for an appointment of a qualified, competent director. We all question who's currently in charge there, who's making decisions. The formation of a board or committee of advisors. I would be honored to be on something like that. We need updated policies, procedures, sanitation protocols, disease prevention, and proper training of all employees and volunteers. There's wonderful volunteers there. We need a 501c3 nonprofit status so that we can get some money going and flowing. The rundown condition of the current shelter. I know that there had been talks of the county home building, Mayor Venable, and we definitely, in the future, we need an updated facility. A low-cost spay and neuter program is essential to just prevent this from happening. All of these things need immediate attention. In closing, I would just like to say that this is something that God has laid heavy on my heart. These are God's creatures. He has entrusted us with them, and we're failing them. I fully know the reality of a shelter. We cannot save them all, but we can do better. Things are not always pretty in a shelter. It's easier to look away. Please don't look away any longer. Let this be a huge wake-up call for all of us to bring change. We as Sullivan County can do better. We have to do better. I urge you to make this a top priority. I will be willing to do anything that I can, give my time, be on a board or committee, help make decisions. If we all work together, I really think that we can make big changes. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Next up, Ed Bush. Got you on the clock, Ed.
Ed Bush, 3389 Highway 126 in Buffalo. I warned you I'd be back again, so I am. Really want to invite you, everyone here, to not only the benefit concert we're having on December 7th at the Baptist Church, but also, I'll just read through, we're having a Christmas in historic Bluffville. I'm going to kick off, of course, the Baptist Church has their program, the Spirit of Christmas Dinner and Play. And if you don't have tickets, it may be too late. Saturday, December 1st, the Friends of the Bluffville Library are going to have a Christmas market, probably 45 or 50 vendors, and it should be a good time. We're going to have Santa Claus available for pictures, the Dairy Inn will be open. We're going to have the Sabrina Hills 18th century dancers between 1 and 2 dancing inside the Dairy Inn, a quilt show at the Presbyterian Church, and we're going to have some food available. For hopefully we'll have a large crowd. Of course, they're going to, from my understanding, they're still going to have the Heritage Tour, the Tourism Information Center sign dedication on Thursday, the 6th, and the tree lighting on the 6th also. Now on Friday, December 7th, and this is where we run a big crowd, the Appalachian Express Barbershop Chorus is going to have a benefit concert for 2 of our projects. I'm with the Sullivan County Historical Preservation Association. And one is to support the park at Deary Inn, which is going to be a community park in honoring Dennis Hauser. We hope to have the picnic tables and horseshoe pits and everything as we develop this over time. The other is developing museum for Ralph Blizzard in his name. Families are really loaning us a lot of things to put in it. We want a virtual museum. I don't know if you knew it, the house museums, the attendance nationwide is down. A lot of struggling. So if we go with a virtual museum anywhere worldwide, people can visit this museum, listen to the music, listen to what the man did. So we really want a good turnout. Not charging for tickets, just hopefully, and we want to fill the church up. If people want to donate, they can. But we just want to celebrate these two gentlemen. And then on Saturday, December 8th, of course, the River Band Parade and the Deer Eating will be open for tours. So we really gave you packets, gave you a layout of what the park is going to look like. A lot of work has already been done with the mayor and Sheila Hunt and the groups with the military park and Veterans Park. And it's all part of making Bluntville more enjoyable for our citizens. So really trying to see everybody there. So.
Ed, thank you, and thank you and Mrs. Bush for all the work you do for Bluntville. Certainly appreciate it. Next up, we have Louise Johnson.
My name is Louise Johnson. I'm 16008 Elementary Drive in Abingdon, Virginia. I'm here just because of all of the things that's been going on with the shelter here. I've heard so many bad things, so much stuff on the media, so many posts, so many credible people that I've talked to, how these animals have been treated, how they've been put down, how there's no one in charge, how that they're being mistreated by people that actually work there. So many things that it breaks my heart. I just feel like that someone has to stand up for them. Someone has to take this serious. There has to be a resolution made to this. Wherever it comes from, somebody has to help. You know, I have contacted TV stations. We have gotten, there's multiple people that knows about this, and we are going to stay on it until something is, you know, taken care of it. I can't see any animal suffering, any animal being put down for no reason at all. We have 8 animals at our home. They are our family. They sleep with us. They live in our house. They eat. They are well taken care of. They are all spayed and neutered. But, you know, I think about the poor ones that are left out in the ditch somewhere, that are picked up, you know. They have to go to a shelter. They don't have a voice. They can't decide, you know, and they can't say how they're being treated. And, you know, when they're put in this place and they're chosen to be euthanized, you know, they can't say, you know, please don't kill me. You know, they have a right. God made them. He put them on this earth. You know, how can this be happening? I mean, here in our neighborhood, how can this be happening? I can't see it. It breaks my heart. It just so hurts me. But when I saw the thing about the poor cats, you know, I'm like, you know, how can it just let this happen, you know? Somebody needs to be in charge of this. Somebody needs to care about these animals. Somebody, for God's sake, care for them and don't do this to them. You know, I was also told, you know, have heard from numerous people that there was an employee working at the Sullivan County shelter that was mistreating animals. I don't know if this person is still there or not, but please, for God's sake, if they are, you know, somebody check into it. Somebody find out what's going on and help them. You know, they don't have a voice. They only have you people to look out for them and try to help them. And, you know, for God's sake, don't let them down. Just don't let them go through this. I just beg you to please have a heart and please help these animals. And try, you know, that's all I say is just please somebody try. Thank you.
Thank you. Cindy Holmes is our next guest.
42 Catawba Lane, Knoxville, Tennessee. I want to start first by saying some thank yous since I came and spoke to you guys last. I've reached out and had some very positive responses. Commissioner Brady, thank you. Mr. Bailey, thank you. That being said, you know, we do have wonderful community assets, lots of knowledge out there, willing to help, willing to extend themselves out. If we can just come together, just have the conversations. Tammy Davis, Washington County Animal Shelter, has so graciously offered to come out and have us take a look at everything, see how we can rearrange some things so that we can put some proper quarantine protocols in place. And hopefully we'll be able to report that back to you guys early next week and move forward so we can prevent another outbreak from occurring. And that's volunteer time. That doesn't take anybody's, you know, county dollars. It just takes time. And as you can see listening to the individuals out here, we have a lot of knowledgeable people that are very passionate about this. These are assets. These are assets that should be tapped into. What I do want to take just a minute to talk about is the not-for-profit status, the 501c3, and why this is so important. Grant money. Okay, there are grants out there to provide food. There are grants out there that will pay for spay and neuter. There are grants out there that takes care of feral pods, vaccinating, spay and neuter, releasing. Why do we not have a mobile spay and neuter clinic come out? Low-cost spay and neuter clinic. There's one that goes out to Bristol, not that much further. There's so many things that we could be doing, but we don't have an experienced person in charge that can direct us in the right way to utilize these assets, to take our community of all of these wonderful people with their experience and put them to work for the positive. We have an obligation to these animals, and I know the Pet Works thing is going to be coming through today, but you also need to ask yourself, how much rural outreach are you going to get with this? Are we going to be isolating our more rural population, which is a more higher risk of not spaying and neutering, dumping vaccines, not getting where they need to be, so you have outbreaks and things? Are they going to drive? Can they drive? So are we going to isolate our most needed community by pulling all into one area? So if that hasn't been addressed in all of these conversations with Pet Works, I highly recommend you guys do that, because then you're going to see an increased amount of dumping, and who's going to clean that up? These guys sitting back here. All of these not-for-profits, no-kills, these men and women that are out there catching these ferals and taking care of them, mostly out of their own pockets. They're willing to do this. These are your assets. So don't isolate yourself away from that. Just sitting there, putting everything together, pulled up probably 15 different grants. There's the State of Tennessee Spay and Neuter Grant. There's PetSmart, has 2 different grants. One specifically deals with feral pods, which we have a problem with in our community. Their vaccine grant, Purina, has a shelter food donation program. Are we a part of that? Probably not. The first question is, are you a 501c3? There's money out there. Right now we're spending county taxpayer dollars. We're missing the boat. And the only thing suffering on the other end of it is the animals, because we're having to cut things, cut corners. You know, the condition of the shelter. There's build grants out there specifically for not-for-profit shelters. These things need to be evaluated, but we need somebody in charge that knows to look for them. So it comes down to having appropriate management. Don't isolate your assets. I encourage every single one of you, talk to your veterinarians. Ask them what they think of the animals that come from the shelter. Don't take it from me. Ask them. I've spoken to a few this week. It's not good. We need to improve that. These are our community assets. We need them on our side.
Thank you. Next on our list is Cindy Holmes Drury.
Mayor Venable, members of the commission, good evening. I'm Cindy Holmes Drury. I live at 340 Canterbury Drive in Bluentville. And I'm here again to bring awareness to our county's animal shelter, specifically to the volunteers at the Bluentville shelter and the community support surrounding it. I'm going to use my notes again because if I don't, I'll be all over the place. I just want you to know that I've never met a more remarkable, dedicated, and diverse group of individuals who are committed to the common goal of saving the lives of Sullivan County's animals. They spend time away from their own homes and families and animals in order to care for and enrich the lives of those who are not so fortunate. Volunteers don't just bring food or walk dogs. They assess animals upon intake, bathe, groom, trim nails, and photograph and write descriptions for each animal on the volunteers' Facebook page. They organize adoption events throughout the year in the area to give animals more exposure than what they would get in a shelter alone. They do home visits for potential adopters. They fundraise for medical needs of animals and spend countless hours networking with rescues all over the country. And speaking of that, while the majority of animals in our shelter find great homes right here in Bluentville and Sullivan County, some have gone far and away to find their forever homes. Sullivan County animals live all over this great country of ours. We've had dogs who have gone to the coast of Southern California. We had a dog in the fall who recently went to the coast of Maine to live. There is actually a book that I brought with me and left back there in my chair about a shelter dog, Elvira, who was pulled by a rescue in Pennsylvania out of the Sullivan County shelter. And she now makes her home with a family who was so inspired by that dog and her story that they published a book about her and other rescue dogs in an effort to encourage individuals and families to adopt a shelter dog instead of buying a puppy from a breeder. These dogs were saved through the efforts of volunteers. Volunteers advocate for every dog. Every owner reclaim is a relief. Every dog or cat adoption is a victory. There's also a huge base of support in our community for the Bluentville shelter as well. There are people who without fail answer the call when we're low on food or supplies. There are those who skim the countless reports of lost and found animals in an attempt to match the faces of those lost to the ones found. There are amazing individuals who open their homes to foster dogs and cats and always seem to make room for just one more foster animal who needs a soft place to land. There's Michael Puck, a local photographer who so generously donates his time and talent to photographing area animals in need and donates 100% of the proceeds from his photography work to the medical needs of animals in our local shelters. The Bluentville shelter more than once has been on the receiving end of those donations. There are individuals who have purchased stainless steel water buckets for dogs who are drinking out of discarded litter containers. There are people like Kim Boland, who spoke earlier, who works nonstop to save our county's cats. There's Regina Eisenberg, who's taken some of the most at-risk animals out of the Bluentville shelter and into the no-kill haven known as a bridge home. There's Lindsay Campbell of Pleasant Hill Pet Rescue, just off of Route 75. She takes the oldest and the sickest animals in her shelter and gives them the medical attention, nutrition, and care they need to live out their days free of pain and in a place of peace and safety, which is our sanctuary. This happens in every shelter, you might say, and perhaps it does. But I know or have spoken to most of the public shelter managers in Eastern Tennessee and Southwest Virginia, and without fail, they always say something to the effect, I wish we had the volunteer base that the Bluentville shelter has, or I wish we had the community support of the Bluentville shelter. I would ask you to stop by the Bluentville shelter and see what happens there for yourself. Go on a Saturday afternoon. Seek out a volunteer. They're not hard to find. They wear bright green shirts or reflective vests with volunteer written across the back. Go with them as they walk the dog or throw a frisbee. Ask them what part they play at the shelter. Ask them why they do it. And tell them how much you appreciate what they do, because I don't think they hear it nearly enough. The county's done a lot to improve our shelter facility, and I really appreciate that. We have a long way to go. We're all saddened by the loss of life at the shelter a couple of weeks ago, and my heart breaks for the animals who were lost. I don't minimize them in any way. We have a lot of work to do, but we've come a long way. The Bluntville volunteers and the communities surrounding have transformed our shelter. Let's keep it just where it belongs, in the heart of Sullivan County. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Miss Lori Solid.
Good evening, everyone. So y'all have heard how wonderful the volunteers are, the community that steps up. Next, it's up to you, what you can do. I'm going to give you a hint of what you can do. We've got a budget. Pardon me?
What's your name and address?
Lori Solid, 326 Walnut Trail. Anything else?
No, that's just protocol.
Ah, I see. Most people know me. Okay, so the budget.
The record doesn't, Lori.
I know it. I know you know me. So anyway, this commission made a budget for the shelter at $550,000 a year. Wow. Wonderful. Let's break it down a little bit so it's easier to understand. That breaks down to about $45,833 a month. So I used to be in this business, so I'm just going to kind of give you an idea of what I came up with. 7 full-time employees at $9 an hour is $27,676. That includes benefits. I did add those in, Mr. Mayor. That includes 4 people to take care of the dogs, 2 people to take care of the cats, and 1 full-time person in the office. That also includes a manager at $17 an hour and 2 animal control officers at $17 an hour. That leaves $18,157. You take out the electricity, because I know those are important. They have to come out too. Average about $715 a month. That leaves you with $17,442. $400 a month for water. That leaves you right around $17,000 a month to take care of the animals. The ones that really, this is the facility that is supposed to care for them. That's $17,000 a month. I know a lot of rescues that would just adore to have $17,000 a month. Yeah? Yeah? I can name you a bunch of them that are sitting out here. So we have plenty of room to wiggle. I'm more than willing to help. I've offered to help many times. I even offered to work for free. Can't get much better than that. Sheriff Cassidy is another place we could go to look. Inmates, they need to do something. Have them come and work at the shelter 8 until 12 in the afternoon. That way they don't have to, you know, if you don't want them interacting with the public, they'll be gone by opening time. But that frees up all of the employees to do what they need to be doing, and that's to work with the animals instead of be cleaning. We've also got the $10,000 that is in a resolution that Commissioner Vance started out with a low-cost spay and neuter. I'd love to see that come back because this is a perfect time to get that going so that we could get some animals spayed and neutered before it's time to have cat, kitten, and puppy season again. As for SBK, about the only thing good that they did was hire a manager named Candace White. She was awesome. She was certified. Sullivan County actually sent her to be certified so she could euthanize the animals that needed to be euthanized. Because disease, unfortunately, does happen. It's a fact of life in a shelter. You take the good with the bad. But I can guarantee you every animal she put down was put down with love and care. She worked with the rescues. She'd come in at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning if that's when that rescue had to go. She'd come in at 8 o'clock at night if that's what it took. She would work with the volunteers. All it takes is a good manager. That's it. It's a starting point. A good manager, not someone that is doing a full-time county job or has no animal experience. It's all very easy to people like us who have animal experience, the steps to take to make it a little better. And I do appreciate the small steps that the county has taken to get things better. But we owe these animals better. I've been around for a long time, over a decade, trying to get things changed. I want to see change. I am willing to do anything to get it changed. I just need your help. I am available to each and every one of you if you ever have any questions or want to talk about anything. Mayor knows my number. Call me. I'm available. And I hope that you will all step up because Sullivan County can do better. I know we can. You've got a lot of people behind you. So let's do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. That completes my list. And as normal, I will ask if there's anyone else that would like to address the commission. We have the public comment section open. Be happy to hear from you. Great to have a good crowd here tonight. We'll close the public comment section. And I will take if I may, and without objection to the commission, I'd like to have a point of personal privilege.
There was one more person on the list that wanted to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Sorry.
We are adjourned again. We're in recess. Please come forward.
This is Ruby. She's my daughter. She wanted to speak.
Be great.
Here.
Could you give us Ruby's address?
2116 Montrose Avenue.
And her last name, please.
Canty.
Okay.
Could you move her to the side?
Ruby, I skipped you, Ruby. I apologize. I'm so sorry, my dear. And you hold that, go ahead and take that off and let her hold that if she wants.
Yes. Have her come out front, Angie.
Yeah, you can walk anywhere you want on it, Ruby.
There you go.
My goodness. Ruby, thank you for coming, and I do apologize for you, dear.
Hello, my name is Ruby. I'm 9 years old, and I live in Kingsport. I love animals and want to be a vet one day. People and animals have one thing in common. We both have feelings. How would you like to be in a homeless shelter, sitting alone in a dirty area, and in a few days you watch your friends die, and then it's your turn? How would you like to be killed for no reason? That's how the animals feel. So please, if there's some other choice, stop killing the animals. It's not right to kill the healthy animals. They should have a chance to find a home. There's 4 ways you could help them. Number 1, you need better education in the shelter. Number 2, you need better care for the animals. Number 3, everyone in there should love the animals. Number 4, we need a spay and neuter program. Thank you for letting me speak.
Kathy, thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you, Ruby. We will close the public comment section once again.
I didn't sign the list, but I'd like to say a word or two.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I've announced that twice, I believe, and we're happy to have you. If you will, just give us your name and address, please, and for our record.
I'm June Chard. I live at 800 Gendry Creek Road in Kingsport. I moved here in 2003. I already was involved in animal rescue in Lexington, Kentucky. I get here, I ain't never seen as big a problem with stray cats everywhere. They call me a master trapper, the expert trapper. I'm not an expert, but believe me, I've had a lot of practice. Since I have moved to this area, I have trapped and had spayed and neutered through various organizations. Started out with Regina, I'm now with Frank, but I have trapped myself and had spayed and neutered through those organizations over 2,500 cats. In April of last year, the Alley Cat Allies, along with the Wise County Humane Society, the Margaret Mitchell Spay Neuter Clinic, the Animal Defense League of Southwest Virginia, and the Holly Health Spay Neuter Fund, which are big hitters in trying to help get on top of this problem, had a seminar in Abingdon, April of last year. I went. Nobody came from any of the official capacity here. I begged Tom Parham, who was president of Pet Works, which was Sullivan SBK at that point. He didn't come. Washington County sent 11 representatives, and after that seminar, which was April 21st of last year in Abingdon, Washington County communicated with the Alley Cat Allies and got involved in that trap, neuter, and return. I have here a page that I copied. I've got enough for each commissioner. And I know the sign that was here said give it to the mayor or whatever, but I thought, you know what, I don't have the nerve to speak up. If this kid can speak up, then surely I can. Absolutely. Anyway, I'm going to read the first paragraph to you, and I do have one for each of you if you want to pass them around or pick them up here or whatever. But it says, now this was in the winter issue last year. The seminar was only in April, so we're only talking about a, 6, 7, 8 month time period. And it starts off, for years, nearly every community cat brought to the Washington County, Johnson City Animal Shelter in Tennessee was killed. Today, and this is last winter, I don't know what the deal is now, but I'm sure it's getting even better. Today, the number of cats killed is half that, and more than 200 cats have gone through their trap, neuter, return. Tammy Davis, who took over as the shelter director last May, that was May of 17, started a TNR program after she had attended that seminar. If they can do it, I mean, you know, I've heard all my life. I'm originally from up ahead of a holler over outside Gate City, but I spent 40-some years in Kentucky. I went to college at Berea, graduated, got me a Kentucky man, and stayed up there for years. But here I am back down here.
We're glad to have you back.
Darn near killed myself doing it. It's work. You have to have a passion for it, and believe me, I've got a passion. But anyway, I'm suggesting that perhaps the Sullivan County, whoever it is that wants to try to make some difference, communicate with the Washington County, Johnson City people and ask them, how did you do this? I'm amazed at what they're doing. I went there, I don't know, it's probably a few months ago now. I've never been to the shelter, but I went there and I was impressed. I'm 75 years old, and prior to that, I ain't never been impressed by no shelter. When I first came down here, I put in some time volunteering at the Sullivan County shelter. I had never in my life been in such a deplorable place. I kept thinking, you know what? They're just a little behind, they need some help. And so I volunteered several times, broke my heart, gave me nightmares. I finally figured out that it was, well, they needed more help than what I could give them. But I do hope, a lot of you are new people. I read the article where Mark Vance had recommended or questioned, you know, should we help with public funding for a spay-neuter program? Save you money in the long run. Look at your October of 2014 Times News, where John Osborne did a wonderful article telling about all of the different organizations that are available to help get that done if somebody just gets the lead out and do it. So anyway, I may have run over my 3 minutes. I'm out of breath. I'm getting over the hill. I'm decrepit nowadays.
It's all right. You're from Gate City.
I do hope that each of you will want this because it tells you a lot. And it just kills me to read these headlines of how many got euthanized. I had an outbreak of hand leukopenia in my foster home a couple of 3 years ago, and it's devastating. These were ones I lost were little kittens that either had not been vaccinated because they weren't old enough, or they had not been vaccinated long enough to protect them. But to come in and just say, okay, we're just going to kill them all, wasn't necessary. I appreciate your time, and I do hope that some of you people, I hope all of you, have got a heart for animals. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you being here. I've lost track of whether we're in session or out of session. But anyway, we will go back in session. Anybody else like to speak? And Ruby, you come back and we'll put you on front. Thank you. I'm going to take a point of personal privilege here, if it's all right with the commission, if you have no objection. First of all, appreciate the people who've spoken tonight. And we do hear you. And we have some difficult times. We've been through some difficult times. I've met with a couple of ladies this afternoon for about 2 hours, and we've talked about what we've been through this year. But I want to assure you, the previous county commission actually appropriated about a bit over $500,000, and we had some funds left over. So they support this. Your county commissioners support this program. These commissioners sitting here tonight support your program, support the animal shelter program. They're all citizen soldiers, if you would. They're all here with us on a volunteer basis, and they do a good job. And they certainly support it and have voted the funds for it, and we expect they will in the future. And I say this, I guess I say that to get to this. When we accepted the responsibility for an animal shelter in Sullivan County, which was last fall when the sitting commission decided in the best interest of citizens of Sullivan County not to join with SBK in the building of a new shelter. For various reasons, we won't rehash that. Most of you who care know. And on January 1, Sullivan County became responsible for this animal shelter. And that responsibility was in the mayor's office and the staff that works for the mayor. So I will tell you, I accepted that responsibility, not reluctantly. I'm the mayor. I asked you to let me be the mayor. So I accepted it. We have, somebody mentioned that our staff here had worked, just about everybody on the staff that works for the mayor has been to the animal shelter and worked there at some point in time. We've had some really big challenges. The biggest challenge was opening up in zero weather with all of our pipes full of mice. But that's neither here nor there. I'm responsible, and I accept that responsibility, and I appreciate the patience of the community. Many of you have spoken about the progress we've made. We've made progress. It's not been fast enough. We've made errors. We've made mistakes. But we try to correct them as we go. We hear you. We know we need good, dedicated, experienced people. And we're moving toward that as quickly as we can. The other things that have been mentioned, 501c, yes, we're doing that. It comes slow. But believe me, your commissioners support you. I support you, but I'm responsible for it. So thank you for listening to me. Next up on our agenda is approval of notary publics. Commissioner King, you seek recognition for what? Personal privilege?
When I was here before, we had the day worker program, and I know when we had the day worker program, we put anywhere from 4 to 6 people a day in an animal shelter. What would be the process of getting the day worker program going again and try to, I mean, if this would be helpful or not?
Commissioner King, we do that. We have community service people that work at the shelter nearly every day. Mr. Bailey, is that right? We have them there every day.
Okay.
Now,
just a thought.
Oh, it's a good idea, and the more help we get there, the better we do. Somebody mentioned that it gives the staff more time to care for the animals rather than cleaning. So.
Okay.
Good
Well, I've got the mic here. I don't know how many people out here is country music fans, but last night they had the Country Music Awards in Nashville, and Ricky Skaggs got to be nominated into the Hall of Fame. And if you saw the program last night, he had a young man who was playing the fiddle, playing it pretty hot, as Carson Peters from Potty Flats, Tennessee. So, he's a fine young man, and I think he's got a bright future in front of him. So, but if anybody saw him, that was Sullivan County homegrown right there.
I think we all agree with you. Dwight, you're out of order.
Thanks.
Commissioner Stanley, you better not be out of order.
I would just like to make a comment. Whenever you decide to do the Animal Shelter Committee, I'll be more than honored to serve on that committee to try to make the animal shelter a lot better place.
Thank you. That's out of order also. But, and I would encourage any commissioner that would like to serve on the Animal Shelter Committee. Once we get to that point, once we have attained our 501c3 exempt status, and once we have appointed a board of directors, we will have county commissioners on that. So, again, I'm out of order. Madam Clerk, will you read the list of notary public applicants, please?
And just know when you're approving this list, you're also approving the bonds that are on the desk. Deborah Aiken, Lisa Baldwin, April Barrett, Gordon Tyrone, Alan Bellamy, E. Clinton Bellamy, David Leonard Brown, Sarah Carlock, Lee Chase, Zenara Christian, Brandy Clevenger, Lockie Coleman Day, Deborah Corns, Stephen Gerald Cross, Julia J. Davis, Angela Davis, Annie DeAngelis, Evelyn Denton, Reba Dunlap, Sandra Field, Kevin L. Frederick, Joseph Paul Fry, Stephen Gilly, Diane M.K. Hills, Sherry M. Morton, Darlene A. Hurd, Shannon Kern, Sharon P. Lewis, Paula Lynn Long, Terry McCroskey, Tanya McDavid, Megan N. Miller, Kimberly Nall, Spencer David Nave IV, Heath Andrew Owens, Velma F. Peters, David Poor, Sheila Ratliff, Gregory Richardson, Brenda Ripple, Hunter Strayhorn, Janice Wagner, Jane Wilkinson, Elizabeth Grace Williams, Shauna Brooke Wright.
You've heard the list. As is normal, any commissioner object to any name on the list?
Second.
Move to adopt as read, second by Commissioner Crawford. Motion by Commissioner Cole. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, when the board opens, please cast your vote. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change your vote? Does anyone wish to change your vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
24 yes.
Having received necessary majority, the list is adopted as per motion. Next up, we have zoning, and I intend to take a break after zoning, so in case anybody's waiting, we're going to take a short break. So, Amber, if you'll come forward. Commissioner Gardner moves adoption of item number 1, seconded by Commissioner Calton, which is the motion to go into amendments of our zoning codes. All those favors signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Amber, you're recognized.
Okay, thank you. Do we have the PowerPoint up? Bobby's not here, so no.
Now, Tim, is Tim here?
Yeah, but we don't know how to run. I mean, we gave it to Bobby, but that's okay. It's in your packet if you'll turn to your zoning packet.
The way we used to do it.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I won't click through slides. But if you will turn to your zoning packet, I'm Amber Torbett. I'm your county planning director, but I'm going to present the Kingsport City Planning staff report, as this rezoning request is in their urban growth boundary but still in the county. Just a reminder for those that don't know, if you have a rezoning request in the city's urban growth boundary, it goes to the City Planning Commission for review. It does not go to the County Planning Commission. But ultimately, everything in the county is up to the County Commission to decide for a rezoning. So we just have one request. The applicant's name is Jerry Rogers, and his request is to rezone 602 North Holston River Drive in Kingsport area from R1, which is single-family residential, to R2A. R2A is medium-density residential. It allows single-family residential homes as well as duplexes. So that's the only addition between R1 and R2A. This request is on Holston River Drive, which is a collector road in the county, as it is a through route, and very near the city limits. It is on septic. In the staff report, page 1 of the city staff report, the existing conditions noted that there were a couple of old structures, dog houses in various states of disrepair. We've been out there. The landowner has since cleaned up the entire site when he purchased it. And it's adjacent to his own home and farm. And his request is to build a duplex, actually for his sister, so he can help take care of her. And so that's the individual request. Now, you might think this is a spot zoning from R1 to R2A, isolated in a all R1 zone. However, I wanted to point out, most of us probably didn't recall that back in 2003, the County Commission adopted an overhaul of our zoning code, and we, previously to 2003, allowed duplexes in R1 zoning districts as long as they were on a collector road. So, in that case, if you do a field review, there are actually several duplexes in this neighborhood up and down the road. So it will not be out of character with the neighborhood. If this was tucked away in a subdivision, obviously it would not be appropriate. But the Kingsport City staff and the Kingsport Planning Commission are recommending a favorable recommendation to you all to rezone this site for a duplex. We also did not receive any opposition from the neighborhood.
You've heard the explanation, and Amber, thank you. Is this your first item before this commission? I guess it is.
No, do we have one last month?
We were done. There's only second month, so.
Maybe not. So
Anyway,
ready to
that's Amber Torben.
come see me.
Anybody have any questions for Amber on this request, the application? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Give you time to get set back down. This comes to you in a positive way, doesn't need a motion. And so when the board opens, cast your vote, please. Has everyone voted? Anyone wish to change your vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
24 yes.
Application number 1 is, having received necessary majority, is approved.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Amber, thank you. As I mentioned, we need to just take a short break, and then we will get into our resolution agenda. We need to confer a bit with ourselves. About 10 minutes, if you would.